beautiful souls. I'm Emily from Connected Intuition, and we're staying connected today to talk about the difference between psychics and mediums. The first difference between psychics and mediums is the type of human or soul that they connect to. So psychics tune into those in the living world. So it could be a human, an animal, a tree, any spirit that is living on this planet. Mediums speak to those who've passed. It is the job of a medium to connect the sitter that's sitting in front of you to a loved one who's passed, whether it be a human relative of that person, an animal, a friend, someone that they want to speak to who's no longer on this earth. The second difference between psychics and mediums is the types of readings and insights that they get. So psychics talk to those who are living, and the insights they get are about the living. So it could be about you, your present, your past. Sometimes it can also predict the future a bit. I like to say that it's also giving guidance around what's happening in your life. It can also be, in my pet readings, we talk to animals who are living and sitting in front of us, and it can act as kind of a bridge. But my psychic readings often dive into topics about career, family, living situation like moves, or love life, or job security, things like that, or questions about what's next for them, or indecision about something that they've got on their plate. So all those types of questions would be held in a psychic reading. Mediumship readings are very specific. You are going to a medium to speak to someone who has passed. So most of the time it's for a human, but pet readings work much the same. So you would be going to sit with someone to speak to your grandmother who had passed, a parent who had passed, things like that, a connection that you're missing on this side. And a medium would facilitate that conversation between the living and those who are passed on to the other side. Mediumship readings often give closure to people or healing around something that happened with the person who has passed. So if there was a difficult end of life decision that happened, or something left unsaid, or sometimes it can just be about a visit. You just want to visit with that person and you miss them and you want their advice, or you want to chat with them, or you just want to feel them around you during a difficult time. That's why you would go to a medium. The third difference between psychics and mediums is that all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. What does that mean? So all mediums who talk to those who have passed on have the ability to speak to those who are living, but not every psychic that you meet speaks to those who've passed. The energy is a little bit different. The way I describe it is that psychic energy is kind of low and slow. A lot of us have that intuitively in us, and we can even call ourselves an intuitive, which is basically like using psychic energy. And it's easy. It's kind of just right outside our grasp. And for anyone who's walked down the street and got a signal about somebody that's passing them, or has walked into a room and is like, I know exactly where my keys are, or who has kind of like just senses or knows that this is the way something is going to go, that's your intuition. Your psychic sense is working. Mediums, though, use a very specific type of energy to talk to those who have passed. For me, it is like pulling up. The energy has to go higher and faster. It's super fast to connect to that energy of spirit. And the best way it's been described to me from the spirit world is that they need to slow down and actually come down to us. And we kind of meet in the middle. If you're thinking about energy waves, we're kind of trying to find the right frequency to kind of lock in. That's a very specific thing to do, and you don't necessarily need to do that when you're working with psychic energy. To me, that low and slow energy is just kind of like around us every single day. So that's really the key difference, that everybody who's a medium can work with psychic energy because it's just easy and fun and around us all the time. Neither one, psychics versus mediums, there's no right answer, and being able to be a medium does not mean that you have better or worse information than that of a psychic. It's just kind of like a specialty. If you think about doctors, it would be somebody who could do only a subset of what kind of a general practitioner could do. The fourth difference is the tools and techniques that we use to connect psychically versus mediumistically. Psychics can connect in a lot of different ways. They don't need tools per se, but some use things like tarot cards, crystals, pendulums to give a psychic reading. You can give a reading just connecting your energy to the person sitting in front of you. I don't typically use tools and just use my connection to the human sitting in front of me and use that kind of like low and slow energy to get the information that I'm getting from that person's soul, spirit, higher self. And for mediumship, there's not a lot of tools that you typically use. You are using kind of that higher pull up of energy to connect with the universe and have them slow down and kind of link in. But there isn't physically something that you typically use to give a mediumship reading. Ethically speaking, I want a medium to just purely connect to my loved one in spirit. I wouldn't want anything in between. I would want to know that I was speaking to my loved one as close as I possibly could. That's not to say that there aren't tools out there that claim to connect to the dead. I'm sure that's the case. But if I was going into a mediumship reading, I would want my medium connecting directly to my loved one without anything in between. The fifth and final difference is really the purpose of the reading. So as I've mentioned, psychic readings are really about getting life's answers, intuitive responses to questions that you have about what's going on in your life right now. It's meant to provide clarity and to provide guidance to next steps. What should you be doing? Or to provide confirmation that what you're currently doing is the right path for you. Oftentimes, when I sit in a reading like this, someone will say to me, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, and you've given me 3 more things to think about. And that is exactly how it should go. The purpose of a mediumship reading is different. You're coming to a mediumship reading for a very specific purpose. You want to speak to a loved one who has passed. So my job as the medium is to give you verifiable evidence that I am speaking to that loved one and some memories that you remember and can connect with, and then also potentially a message from that spirit, that loved one who wants to connect to you. It is also your time to ask questions or get resolution about anything that happened in their life or in their passing, and spend some time with them, talk, feel their presence, and confirm that they're doing just fine on the other side and that they are at peace following anything that happened to them in their own life. Thank you for spending the time with me today to talk about the difference between psychics and mediums. Stay connected with Connected Intuition, and I'll talk to you soon.